I'm Ruben Brett. I'm here to interview Nancy Platts, who's going to be your Labour MP in Brighton Kemptown Peacehaven. What do you like most about living in Brighton?
The thing I like most about living in Brighton is living between the sea and the South Downs, and I love going walking on the South Downs with my partner Steve, and I also love running by the sea every other day to keep myself fit.
And what do you feel is the biggest issue for young people in Brighton Kemptown?
What young people have told us that are living in Brighton Kemptown and Peacehaven is that they're really concerned about two things really: 0 hours contracts and finding somewhere affordable to live. And Labour's going to try and address both of those. Firstly, we're going to ban 0 hours contracts, and after 12 weeks companies will be required to give people a permanent contract, which is only fair. And secondly, we're going to look at more secure tenancies for young people and also capping rent increases so people know how much they would have to pay year on year.
Have you always wanted to be a politician?
Definitely not, no. I started out actually working 12 years in the fire brigade, not as an operational firefighter, but in the back office jobs, and it was a job I absolutely loved. I then went to work for a trade union, and after that I worked for a number of charities like Breakthrough Breast Cancer and Child Poverty Action Group. And I used to spend a lot of time going and talking to MPs asking for policy changes. So actually trying to get into Parliament myself and actually have a say in those policy changes seemed like the next natural step.
How did you first become involved in the trade union movement?
I was working at the London Fire Brigade, and it was a time when lots of the public sector was being outsourced under Margaret Thatcher and John Major, and I was watching people struggle on different paying conditions. So every time a new contract came into being, cooks and cleaners and security guards were being offered new contracts but with less holidays, with less pay, and I thought that was really unfair. So I decided to go and work for a trade union and campaign for employment rights on behalf of working people.
Currently, a lot of young people aren't joining trade unions. Do you think they should, and do you think things will be better at the moment if they did?
I think absolutely young people should consider joining a trade union, and there's lots of different trade unions around to represent the different jobs that people do. And I talk to the trade unions quite a lot about how they can reach out to young people. I think if more young people were in trade unions, we could actually do more about things like 0 hours contracts. I don't think 0 hours contracts would be so prevalent today if trade unions were stronger in the workplace. And I think what we've seen over recent years is the gradual downgrading of people's terms and conditions at work, and that's led to huge rise in job insecurity, the growth in 0 hours contracts, people falling in and out of work and not actually able to plan their future or find somewhere that they can live over the long term, and that's a huge problem.
So do you think that young people have enough of a voice in Britain and in Parliament, considering that many can't currently vote?
First of all, I want to say I'm really excited that Labour are going to bring in votes at 16 if we get elected into Parliament. I think that as soon as you start going out to work or paying taxes, you should have a say in your future and how taxpayers' money is spent. I don't think the young people have got a strong enough voice in Parliament. I want to go into Parliament and be a really good advocate for young people. And what I've tried to show over the last year is that by surveying young people and involving young people in our youth survey, that I will find out what their top issues are and do something about them. So I'm really pleased that we're going to be launching our youth pledge card today. That's got the top 5 issues that people voted on, and they're the issues I'm going to campaign on if I get elected in May.
And what do you feel is the worst thing about the current government's policy as regards young people?
There's two things really that young people focus on when I ask them what it is they would want to change when a new government comes into being. And what people tell me is under this government they've really suffered with a number of things. They've had a rise in tuition fees up to £9,000. That's something Labour's going to change. We're going to cut that by £3,000 a year. They've struggled to find secure jobs because of the growth in 0 hours contracts, and it's only fair that young people can get secure permanent jobs just like everybody else. And also finding somewhere to live. Lots of young people have ended up sofa surfing because they can't afford to pay their rent, they can't find anywhere affordable to live, and Labour's going to do something to create a more secure rental market as well.
So why did you join the Labour Party instead of another political party?
I joined the Labour Party from the trade union movement, and I think that's really important because what was important to me was about the rights of working people. I think people should have decent terms and conditions at work. I think people should have secure job contracts, and the Labour Party is the voice of working people. So if I get into Parliament, what I want to do is make sure that ordinary working people have a strong voice in Parliament and have a good advocate to represent their interests.
And why would you say you are the best candidate in Brighton Kemptown? Why should people vote for you rather than someone else on that ballot paper?
I think I'm the best candidate for Brighton Kemptown and Peacehaven because I'm coming to this with a huge amount of work experience. I've lived a normal life. I've been out at work for over 30 years. I've worked in the public sector, the private sector, and I've also run my own business. I've been a really strong advocate for people so far through organisations like Breakthrough Breast Cancer, Child Poverty Action Group, Diabetes UK. I've got my feet firmly on the ground, and I've spent the last 2 years going around knocking on doors, talking to people on the phone, and really finding out about the issues that matter to people. And I now think I'm really well placed to go and be a strong voice for them in Parliament.